Hello, beautiful soul. If you're watching this, it's not by accident. The numbers aligned, the stars whispered, and your energy responded to a truth you've always known deep down. What happened to you wasn't random. It wasn't just betrayal. It was an activation. Scorpio, you didn't lose, you were redirected. The end of that connection, no matter how painful, was the universe stepping in with divine justice, not to punish you, but to protect the version of you that's destined for something higher. You see, your birth chart holds the signature of a soul who came here not to fit in, but to transform. Under Pluto's command, you were designed to rise from ashes others would drown in. And with Mars igniting your intensity, your pain became fuel for purpose. Even the numbers around you confirm it. If you've been seeing repeating 8 South or 1111, that's not coincidence. It's confirmation that karmic cycles are closing and soul contracts are ending. The silence you chose wasn't weakness. It was your spiritual boundary. The absence of revenge wasn't passivity. It was power. Because your energy, once cleared, began working in realms unseen. And now, the same ones who underestimated your silence are feeling the echo of your transformation. This video isn't about going back. It's about understanding why you had to let go. Because something in your soul always knew you were meant to be the lesson, not the punishment. And the moment you accepted that truth, everything around you began to shift. Stay with me, because what comes next is not just insight. It's your roadmap to energetic freedom, soulful alignment, and cosmic truth. Welcome to your sacred awakening. Welcome to the Mystic Astrozen. Scorpio, have you ever wondered why your path feels more intense, more emotionally charged, and more spiritually demanding than others? It's because you weren't born under a passive sign. You were chosen by the cosmos to carry a frequency of deep transformation, karmic alchemy, and soul evolution. Astrologically, you are ruled by Pluto, the planet of death and rebirth, and Mars, the planet of drive, action, and sacred rage. This cosmic combination makes you a force unlike any other. But with that power comes a sacred responsibility to confront the darkness, transmute it, and rise with wisdom. That's why betrayal often finds its way into your story, not because you deserve pain, but because your soul agreed to awaken through it. In this lifetime, Scorpio, you are a spiritual mirror. People are drawn to your energy, sensing something ancient and powerful within you. But not everyone who comes close is ready for that reflection. Some come to learn, some come to take. And when their true intentions are exposed, the wound cuts deep. Yet, this pain isn't random. It's patterned. It's part of your soul's design. Every heartbreak, every rupture is a cosmic initiation, preparing you for something more aligned, more truthful, more divinely ordained. In numerology, your life path may often resonate with numbers like 7, the seeker of truth, or 9, the number of the wounded healer and spiritual closure. These are not easy paths, but they are profound. And when betrayal comes, it's often the final nudge pushing you out of false timelines and into your higher destiny. What happened to you wasn't meant to destroy, it was meant to reveal. Because the Scorpio soul doesn't just survive, it transmutes, it awakens, it leads. And the deeper the wound, the greater your rising. Stay close, because this isn't just your story, it's your soul code unlocking. Let's go deeper. Scorpio, in the sacred language of tarot, Your journey through betrayal mirrors the energy of three powerful archetypes: the Tower, Death, and Judgment. Each of these cards is intense, transformational, and often misunderstood, just like you. When that relationship or connection crumbled, it wasn't simply a personal fallout. It was a tower moment, a divine dismantling of everything that wasn't built on truth. The tower doesn't fall to hurt you. It collapses illusions so that your soul can finally breathe. And when the smoke cleared, what remained wasn't emptiness. It was the raw, fertile ground for something new to be born. That's where death enters, not a literal end, but a sacred release. Scorpio, you were shedding old skins, outdated versions of yourself that could no longer walk the path of your higher self. The pain you felt wasn't weakness. It was the grief of spiritual evolution. You weren't losing love. You were releasing the energetic patterns that kept love tied to fear, codependency, and self-abandonment. Then comes Judgment, the rebirth card, where you rise from your own ashes, answer your divine calling, and stand in the light of your truth. That betrayal? It didn't just reveal them. It revealed you. It showed you where your power had been leaking and where your intuition had already whispered, "This isn't for you." The tarot doesn't lie, and neither does energy. This phase of your life wasn't random. It was written. You were always meant to rise, not in anger, but in alignment. And now, as your energy shifts, so does your reality. You are no longer available for the lessons disguised as love. You've upgraded. Spirit has seen your pain and transmuted it into wisdom. Let this reading be your mirror, Scorpio. You're not just healing. You're embodying the very magic you were born to carry. The tower fell, but you remained. And that changes everything. And now, Scorpio, as the dust from that tower moment settles, and your soul steps into the clarity of judgment, something extraordinary begins to unfold, the shift from pain to power. You start to realize that the very thing which broke you was actually the doorway to your awakening. Not just emotional awakening, but energetic transformation. The betrayal didn't end you. It rewired you. It pulled you out of survival mode and into sovereignty. And this shift isn't always loud. It's not about proving anything. It's quiet, subtle, sacred. You begin to withdraw, not out of bitterness, but because your energy no longer vibrates at the same frequency as the old story. Your silence becomes a sanctuary. Your presence becomes a filter. You no longer chase answers. You no longer need to be understood. Because deep inside, you understand yourself, and that is power. This energetic recalibration isn't just internal. It ripples out into everything. People who once had access to you now feel a distance they can't explain. The dynamic has changed because your vibration has changed. You're no longer a match for betrayal, manipulation, or half-heartedness. The universe doesn't need you to seek revenge. Your healed energy does the work for you. That's the cosmic law. When you rise, everything misaligned begins to fall away naturally. Scorpio, this is the moment you stop asking, "Why did they do this to me?" and start asking, "What part of me is being reborn from this?" Because now, you move differently. You breathe deeper. You trust more, first and foremost in yourself. And in that trust, your power expands. This isn't about being invincible. It's about being energetically whole. The betrayal broke the illusion, not your essence. And with every step forward, you're reclaiming parts of yourself that were long forgotten. The wound became the opening. The silence became your sword. And your energy, your pure, clarified, unshuckable energy, is now the loudest voice in the room. This is where true power begins. Not in what you say, but in what you radiate. Let's keep going. The transformation isn't finished. It's just getting started. And as your energy continues to rise, Scorpio, something even more profound begins to unfold. Your presence becomes the mirror. Without speaking a word, you start to reflect back the truth that others have been avoiding. The person who betrayed. You may never say it out loud, but your absence has become louder than your presence ever was. Your silence echoes in the space where manipulation used to live. And the shift in your energy? It unsettles those who once thrived on your vulnerability. Because when a Scorpio heals, they don't return to the past. They become a living truth that others can no longer deny. Your healed energy is magnetic, but not everyone is ready to face the reflection it offers. That's why they distance themselves, why they fumble for words, why they avoid eye contact when they sense your name, your memory, your glow. You see, Scorpio, your transformation doesn't just elevate you, it exposes everything around you. What used to feel like loss now feels like clarity. You're not trying to make anyone feel guilty. You're not even seeking recognition. You simply are. And that presence, rooted in spiritual truth and cosmic alignment, speaks volumes. Your aura has become your boundary. Your growth has become your protection. And your light, once dimmed by betrayal, now reveals every shadow it touches. This is what true awakening looks like. Not louder, but clearer. Not harder, but deeper. Not revenge, but reflection. And the more you rise, the more the universe responds. In kind, you've become a frequency others can't fake. So don't dim it. Don't question it. Just trust that your presence alone is a force of divine calibration. Those who belong will align. Those who cannot will fall away. And all of it, every silent shift, every unseen transformation, is proof that you are never the problem. You were always the mirror. Let's keep moving, Scorpio. There's more light to claim. Scorpio, the question that lingers in your heart, why did this happen to me, isn't just a cry for closure. It's a sacred invitation to remember your soul contract. The truth is, it didn't happen to punish you. It happened to awaken you. This betrayal, as painful as it was, wasn't the end. It was the universe's mercy disguised as heartbreak. You were not abandoned. You were protected. You weren't being tested. You were being recalibrated. What left your life didn't belong in the next version of you. And deep down, you always knew. You felt it in the silences, the energetic imbalance, the way your light was being dimmed just to keep peace. But your soul is far too ancient, far too wise, to remain in places where your spirit cannot breathe. That's why the divine intervened. Because Scorpio, you don't just love, you merge, you transform, you absorb. And sometimes, in loving others, you forget to protect yourself. So the universe shattered what was false, so that what is real could rise. This wasn't about them. It was about your evolution. The connection that ended was never meant to last. It was meant to teach. To remind you of what happens when you ignore your intuition, when you give from an empty cup, when you try to rescue someone who is sent to awaken your boundaries, not to stay forever. The ending hurt because your heart was genuine, but the liberation began the moment you realized that your healing is not dependent on someone else's apology. The karma was never yours to carry. And the more you release the need for revenge or validation, the more your soul steps into alignment with peace. That, Scorpio, is divine justice, not punishment, but protection. Not retribution, but redirection. You didn't fail. You fulfilled the contract. You grew, you learned, and now you rise. Let's go even deeper, because the next phase is where your wisdom becomes power, and your story becomes medicine for others. And now that you've seen the truth, that what broke you was actually protecting you, it's time to take that awareness and turn it into something deeper, inner alchemy. Because Scorpio, this journey isn't just about understanding the pain. It's about transmuting it. What once made you question your worth is now the very soil from which your wisdom blooms. This is where healing becomes sacred practice, not just a concept. In the stillness that follows the storm, you're being invited into a new rhythm, a slower, softer, more intentional way of being. This is where the Zen path opens before you. It doesn't require perfection. It requires presence, a gentle commitment. Each day to sit with yourself, to breathe with your wounds, to say, even this is part of my becoming. Start small. A quiet breath in the morning before the world wakes. A journal entry where you write not what happened, but what it taught you. A whisper of forgiveness, not for them, but for the version of you that didn't know better. This is the work now, not fixing, not forcing, but simply being. And in that stillness, you begin to reclaim your energy. No more chasing closure. No more rehearsing old conversations in your head. Every time you pause, breathe, and choose peace, you realign with your higher self. The pain doesn't disappear, but it softens. The story doesn't change, but its hold on you does. And slowly, what once haunted you becomes holy. Scorpio, this is your power, not in reacting, but in responding from a place of clarity. Not in controlling, but in trusting that what is meant. For you will never require you to betray yourself again. You are now the alchemist of your own story. The fire didn't consume you. It refined you. And every sacred pause, every mindful breath, is proof that your healing is not only real, it's working. Let's keep walking this path together. The next revelation is already waiting in the silence you've now learned to embrace. And as you continue walking gently through your healing, something begins to lift, a weight that was never truly yours. Scorpio, this is where the deeper spiritual truth emerges. The karma was never yours to carry. For so long you've internalized other people's guilt, confusion, and projections, as if they were reflections of your own worth. But now, you see it clearly. You were never the villain. You were never too much. You were simply awake in a world that often chooses sleep. And those who couldn't meet you where you are, that's not your burden to hold. The betrayal wasn't yours to heal. It was theirs to live with. You see, universal wisdom moves in silence, in symmetry, and in perfect timing. The pain you endured, it didn't go unnoticed. The silence you held, it echoed into realms unseen. While you were breaking, the universe was taking notes. And now, balance is being restored, not through drama, but through divine recalibration. This is cosmic law in motion. You do not need revenge. Your healing is the justice. Every time you choose peace over pettiness, growth over grudges, you rise in frequency. And at this vibration, nothing false can stay. Scorpio, the weight that was once on your shoulders, The need to explain, prove, defend, it dissolves when you realize you never had to hold it. The karma belongs to the one who caused harm, not the one who survived it. Your only responsibility now is to stay in alignment, to walk in truth, and to let the universe handle what your heart no longer needs to. You're not here to fix anyone. You're here to embody wholeness. And from that place, you attract only what resonates with your new light. Let go of the role of the Redeemer. You've already been redeemed, not by them, but by the choice to. Rise again, wiser, clearer, freer. What's meant for you will meet you in your healing, not in your hurt. And in this truth, Scorpio, you can finally exhale. The universe is working in your favor now, not because you asked, but because your energy finally said, I'm ready. And now that you've laid down the weight that was never yours, something miraculous happens. You begin to remember who you were before the world tried to unwrite your magic. Scorpio, you were never broken. You were simply going through a sacred rebirth. Everything that felt like destruction was really a shedding, a return to essence, a soul remembering itself after lifetimes of forgetting. The pain cracked you open, not to destroy, but to let the light back in. That heartbreak wasn't punishment, it was your initiation. Because you are not here to play small, to beg for breadcrumbs of love, or to question your power. You are here to awaken, to rise into the full embodiment of your truth, your wisdom, your destiny. And that can only happen through the fire. You've walked through it now, and what remains is not a wounded heart, but a heart refined by divine fire. This is what awakening looks like. You stop chasing. You stop explaining. You simply become. You start choosing people, places, and paths that feel like peace. Not because you're avoiding conflict, but because your soul no longer craves chaos. You were reborn the moment you chose yourself, the moment you listened to your own energy, louder than their noise. And now, the universe is aligning in ways you don't even see yet. Opportunities, people, blessings, they're making their way to the version of you that rose from the ashes and said, I remember who I am now. The old you survived, the new you creates. And the world can feel that shift. Your silence is no longer empty. It's sacred. Your presence no longer seeks approval. It radiates truth. Scorpio, you've stepped out of the cycle of proving and into the path of simply being. You are not what happened to you. You are what you chose to become after it. And that is your greatest transformation yet. Stay with me. The final truth is waiting. So here we are, Scorpio, at the edge of who you were and the doorway of who you're becoming. After everything that was taken, after every silence you endured, and every illusion that fell away, the truth has never been clearer. Your energy was never the problem. It was the lesson. You weren't sent to suffer. You were sent to illuminate. And for those who couldn't hold your light, it was never about your worth. It was about their readiness. What they did to you may have felt like betrayal, but in the language of the Fae, soul, it was an invitation, an initiation. You didn't lose them. You lost the parts of yourself that tolerated less than sacred love. And now, you stand here not as a victim, but as proof that spiritual resilience is real. You turn pain into power, silence into sovereignty, and endings into gateways. That is divine justice, not through vengeance, but through transformation. And as you walk forward, remember this. You owe no one your past. You owe yourself your future. Your energy now speaks volumes without uttering a word. It attracts what is aligned. It repels what no longer serves. It holds space for truth and nothing less. So trust it. Trust your glow, your presence, your pull. Because the ones who are meant for your next chapter will not question your depth. They will recognize it. Scorpio, you didn't just heal. You elevated. And now, your life begins to reflect that inner shift in miraculous, unexpected, cosmic ways. Stay open. Stay grounded. Stay true. If this message found you today, know it was guided, not random. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are divinely protected, divinely prepared, and deeply seen. If your soul resonated with these words, take a moment to honor your growth. Leave a comment. Share your heart. And don't forget to subscribe for more sacred guidance. This is the Mystic Estrozen, your sanctuary for spiritual awakening, soulful truth, and the cosmic clarity your soul has been waiting for. You're not watching this by accident. You're remembering your path. And your path is golden.